Cards another really difficult afternoon. What are your first thoughts after that?
My first thoughts is to apologise. Apologise to everyone really, the supporters who've travelled, the supporters who didn't travel. Today was a chance to to try and do something, to try and show something, and the result and the way the game went eventually was nothing short of embarrassing. And there's been times, it's been a tough season, it really has, and there's been times where I've come away from it stinging, because we've maybe been on the end of a last minute defeat, or like a penalty at Needham, or a result that hasn't gone our way. But I don't feel there's been a performance like that. First half is very even, very, very even. You could argue we edged it, but the goals are horrific. The goals are shocking. You're massively deflated. You're in at half time. Everybody's saying the right things, but we've come out and what we said was win the half. Can we win the half? And as it went on, it could have been a bigger scoreline than it finished.
I mean, where do you go from here now? I mean, it's looking like a fairly impossible situation to get out of. What does that look like for you and the players now for the rest of the year?
Listen, it's been, as I've said, it's been tough. It's been tough for everyone. It's been tough for everyone. At this moment in time, all we can do is keep going. Obviously, we're not gonna give up. I've said that we'll never give up. We'll never give up. There's obviously a reality of where we're at and what we've done up to this point of the season, but we'll never give up. And that's all I can say. And I don't really know any other answer to that question, because if I say we're just going to down tools, we're just going to play the season out, play the last few games, we won't bother turning up for training, we won't keep trying to do the right things, then what's the point? But we've got to try and gain some pride out of performances that are remaining, out of the games that are remaining, and we've got to put some, we've certainly got to give something back if there is something to give back to the support, because you know what I'm like, James. I don't say things throw away. I don't say them to get people on side. I'm not one of these car salesman managers who says the right things to be seen to be doing good, and tweets and all that rubbish to fans were great and this, that and the other. But they have been superb. They've been top drawer. They're clapping the lads, they're shouting the lads, they're encouraging the lads till the very last kick. And that's why I'm embarrassed today for that result, because they've deserved more.
There's you've got obviously a couple of young players, especially the lone players. Ben Hatton ran his legs into the ground, I think actually almost literally at the end he went off injured.
Yeah.
Were you pleased with some? Maybe Joe Ackroyd as well had a decent game in there?
Yeah, to be honest, like I said, there was the first half it wasn't a bad game, to be honest. It was, they had a couple of chances, like I said, we had a couple of chances. Ben looked really lively. We starved Devan a little bit of the ball. He never got as much of the ball. Maybe that's because he's known and he was a bit tighter to Devan. But when Ben got himself squared up with the full-back or the wing-back, he was getting the better of him every time we got the ball to him. And we did cause problems. But, there is some young loans in there, some experienced lads that we've got who are feeling that, probably not being in the situation themselves. So no matter how many games you play, when you're in the situation we're in, young or old, it still hurts, and it's still massively disappointing. And like I said, the word I've used is embarrassing.
You look ahead now to Tuesday night. You've got the Cheshire Senior Cup, and probably not normally a competition that you would necessarily put focus on, but probably important to give the fans something to shout about in that one. They're all important, aren't they? We even though we made changes last week, we certainly didn't take it lightly. Every single player who played, apart from Will Adams, has been
been prominent for us over the course of the season. In what was, you know, I never spoke to you after the game, but that was a decent performance going into this game. You know, lads, some good performances individually against the Crew side that had you know 5 or 6 lads who'd all featured for their first team, albeit young. But you know we've got to pick ourselves up, and we've got to go into Tuesday's game with nothing other than we want to return something to the fans, because of, you know, performances in the league haven't been nowhere near enough.